Transforming Trauma, Unit 1, a workshop presentation developed by Dr. Julian Watchorn on behalf of the Foster and Kinship Carers Association of Tasmania, also known as FCAT. This workshop received support from the Sydney Myer Fund. Workshop Overview. In Unit 1 of this series of workshops, we will explore what we know about the impact of childhood trauma. Understanding the impact of trauma on children is a crucial step in facilitating change. We know that children who have suffered trauma struggle to learn. Children who experience chronic trauma frequently experience developmental delays across many functions, including cognitive skills, language skills, motor skills, and social skills. Exposure to trauma is common in children who have been placed in foster care and kinship care. Trauma has major implications for the development of children's cognition, language, and self-identity. Exposure to trauma in childhood is associated with a range of negative physical and mental health outcomes. Behavioural difficulties of many children in care are underpinned by cognitive vulnerabilities related to exposure to traumatic events in childhood. Trauma can be defined as any single, ongoing, or cumulative experience which is a response to a perceived threat, overwhelms our capacity to cope, feels it is outside our control, and evokes a physical or psychological set of responses based on fear or avoidance. Trauma can lead to significant difficulties. Traumatised children are often dealing with the impact of their experiences in all elements of their lives. It affects regulation of emotions, relationships and connection, memory, and representation, their beliefs, attitudes, and values. Understanding the impact of trauma on children is a crucial step in facilitating change. The key to transforming trauma is the relationships that children and young people experience. Children suffering from trauma react to memories of their abuse as if they are occurring in the present. They struggle to learn. Children who experience chronic trauma frequently experience developmental delays across a broad spectrum, including cognitive skills, language skills, motor skills, and social skills. Trauma and learning. Learning and behaviour change occurs at its best when a person repeats an experience over and over. To master a motor activity, for example, a child is required to repeat and repeat a running motion, and in the practice of it becomes more precise and faster. Similarly, when playing a musical instrument, learning times table, singing a song, reading, or dancing. However, if a child experiences complex relational trauma, then the neuronal connections have formed to support survival in a stressful caregiving environment and not to develop and change over time. Our aim is to assist these children to experience the world as safe and to teach them more appropriate ways of responding that won't be to his or her detriment. Trauma in the brain. Human brains operate best when connected to other human brains through positive, interactive relationships, particularly in the first few years of life. It may take many years and persistence to repair the impact of only a few months of abuse in infancy. Children are very vulnerable to the effects of trauma because of their brain's developmental immaturity. Children have underdeveloped cognitive resources, so they find it difficult to understand why they were abused. Their brain responds to perceptions of threat without an awareness of what has triggered the reaction. They often have an undeveloped vocabulary for feelings, so they find it difficult to identify, name, and express feelings. They require secure relational experiences in order for them to feel able to explore the world. Trauma creates changes in brain functioning that increases vigilance to a high priority, leaving the cortex, the thinking, planning, and reasoning part of the brain, disconnected. The right brain is seeing the whole collage but is trapped in the present, feeling like the trauma is still happening, while the left brain is unable to pick out details and put meaning to what is happening, using its ability to consider the past and what possibilities it can apply to the future. The limbic system becomes aroused and prepares for a fight or flight or freeze response. The hippocampus cannot place memories in their correct place in time. The language area has little activity, and that's why children and adults are left speechless and cannot describe with words their experience. They can't self-regulate emotion and self-soothe when they're in a panic state and go into survival mode. Trauma and relationships. Relationships are crucial to brain development and neural functioning throughout our life. A secure relationship is central to the development of a positive self, empathic and sensitive interaction, and adaptive and flexible emotional regulation skills. The quality of relationships shapes a child's brain development. Early experiences help organise and regulate emotions and behaviour, especially in seeking closeness and enhancing the ability to trust others and ourselves. The infant child achieves a sense of who they are. He or she begins to discover the world. He or she learns to identify and manage extreme emotions. The infant or child responds to their environment through the responses of their primary caregiver. With stable, sensitive, loving and stimulating relationships and environments, children reach their full potential.